So if you're brushing or flossing and you spit into the sink and you see a little bit of blood, most people will just shrug it off and then rinse it away. But if this is something that regularly happens to you, then you don't want to ignore it. Because bleeding gums never just stops at your gums. Because more and more research is coming out about how your mouth, specifically your gums, are linked to the rest of your body. To keep it simple, healthy gums do not bleed. And when your gums are bleeding, it means there's inflammation. Bleeding gums are actually the #1 sign that your gums are inflamed. And when your gums are bleeding and when they are inflamed, this is a sign of gum disease or gingivitis. The thing is, a majority of people have some form of gum disease. So let's go over why your gums are bleeding in the first place. A lot of people think, oh, it only bleeds when I go to the dentist and they start stabbing me with those instruments. But 9 times out of 10, if your gums are bleeding in our dental office when we're barely touching your gums, then they're probably either bleeding at home and you don't realize it, or you're just not cleaning your teeth properly at home, and again, you're not realizing that they're going to bleed. Like we said before, gums are bleeding because of inflammation. Now, how do you get that inflammation? That inflammation comes from plaque. So plaque is like this biofilm of bacteria that naturally form on your teeth. You get a layer of bacteria on your teeth like minutes after getting your teeth cleaned. This is called the pellicle layer. And there's literally nothing you can do about it. You can try different diets, different tricks. You can try experimenting with like saliva samples. I've seen so many different things out there, but you cannot avoid bacteria clinging to your teeth. And if you're not regularly cleaning this bacteria away, this bacteria is going to grow and eventually it's going to spread to your gums. And once this bacteria spreads to your gums, your body responds by getting super inflamed because it tries to fight off this bacteria. But no matter how hard your body tries, it's not going to be able to get rid of this bacteria, and your gums are going to get kind of puffy and red and they're going to start to bleed. Now, your gum tissue is packed with blood vessels, and the bacteria from your mouth can easily spread into your bloodstream from these blood vessels. Now, if this plaque that forms on your teeth starts to stay long enough, it actually will start to harden. So initially, this plaque, you can easily clean it away by brushing and flossing properly. But as this bacteria cling to your teeth, they'll start mixing with your saliva. And then this bacteria starts to get mineralized and like hardened. This is when it gets kind of stuck to your teeth and you can't really remove it anymore with your toothbrush or floss. This is called tartar. So tartar, you can only get removed when you go to the dentist and get a cleaning, because they have special tools that scrape it off. Now, if you leave this tartar alone and never clean it off, this is going to spread further and further underneath your gums. And this can turn into a condition called periodontal disease. This is one step above gingivitis. The difference is gingivitis only affects your gums. Your gums are going to bleed a lot, but it kind of stops right at your gums. When you get periodontal disease, this is when this inflammation spreads below your gums and into your bone. So now this inflammation starts eating away your bone, and this attachment to your teeth starts to get loosened. Eventually, if this is left alone, this can lead to you losing your teeth because your teeth will get super loose. This is the #1 reason people end up getting dentures, because they lose all their bone that holds their teeth. Now, while this is all happening, this is also affecting the rest of your body. So one thing it affects is your heart. This is actually the oldest and best studied connection we have with your gums. The same bacteria that are found in your gum pockets are found in those fatty plaques in people's arteries. And people with gum disease have measurably higher rates of heart attacks and strokes. So does that mean anyone that has bleeding gums is going to get a heart attack? No, these are all association. And we know in science that association or correlation does not equal causation, meaning bleeding gums is obviously not going to cause a heart attack. But when a lot of these correlations are there, you still don't want to ignore it, especially when the solution is so simple to just simply get a healthy mouth. And the American Heart Association even put a specific statement on it about gum disease because they're still concerned about how it affects the heart. The second thing your gum disease or bleeding gums is going to affect is your diabetes or your blood sugar. This one actually surprises a lot of people, and this is actually a two-way street. So people with gum disease are actually more likely to get diabetes, and people with diabetes are more likely to get gum disease. One of the reasons is gum disease will spike your cortisol, and cortisol will spike your blood sugar, and that can make you more likely to get diabetes. But studies also show that when you treat the gum disease and you help fix it, this can also help lower blood sugar. So again, it may not cure your diabetes, but it's another reason to go get a cleaning. Now, the third way that your bleeding gums can affect you is pregnancy. Wait, bleeding gums makes me pregnant? No, but we know that when people are pregnant, that the hormones in pregnancy can make your gums more reactive. This is called pregnancy gingivitis. This is a real term, but it goes even deeper than this. Having gum disease in pregnancy has been tied to preterm birth and low birth weight. For example, this study found that moms with significant gum disease were several times more likely to have a preterm, low birth weight baby. And what's most striking to me is that's even a bigger association than smoking. Now, personally, personally, I wouldn't recommend either having gum disease or smoking while pregnant. But what I think we can take away is your gums are important to get healthy. The fourth way your gums affect the rest of your body is your joints. Rheumatoid arthritis and gum disease travel together. So the main gum disease bacteria is called P. gingivalis. Now, as far as we know, this is the only bacteria that makes a specific enzyme that can flip the body's own proteins into a form that your own immune system will attack. This is the same kind of attack that you get when you have rheumatoid arthritis. So there's a chance that that gum disease and that bleeding gums you spit out in the sink could be a reason that your own body is attacking your own joints. Now, the fifth way that your gum disease is affecting your body is probably the scariest, and it's your brain, specifically Alzheimer's. So researchers found the specific bacteria in gum disease and the same enzymes that it produces in people's brains that have Alzheimer's. They even did studies in mice where they gave mice gum disease, and this led to these mice getting the same bacteria in their brains and the same plaques that are found in Alzheimer's. Now again, this is just an association, and mice are a lot less complex than humans, and we have tons of studies where things are really strong associations in mice, and we directly do something in a mouse and it causes something in a mouse, but it just doesn't happen in humans because humans are way more complex. But treating gum disease, especially when you catch it early, is such a simple thing to do that it just doesn't make any sense to neglect it. Now here's a little bonus one specifically for the guys. Men with gum disease have a roughly 2 to 3 times higher chance of getting erectile dysfunction. And it's the same thing as like we talked about with the heart stuff. It's like has to do with your gum disease getting in those blood vessels and that inflammation kind of systemically traveling. Again, I know this is an association, but there are studies on this as well. And I'm gonna put a link to each study association that I was referencing in the description below if you wanna look more into it. What I want you to do is if you see bleeding gums and you haven't been to the dentist in a while, think of your bleeding gums as like an engine light on your dashboard. And if you're the type of person who ignores the engine light on your dashboard, then good luck to you. But the 2 best things you can do at home are brush twice a day, floss every single day. And when you floss, you wanna make sure that you use C-shaped flossing. This is literally when you wrap that floss against your tooth in a C shape, go up and down underneath your gums, and then go on the next tooth and do the same thing. Now, what I actually personally like to do is add a water flosser as well. The benefit of using a water flosser is it actually flushes everything out, and it's super easy to use. And what I found is I've been brushing and flossing every single day, but even I had mild gum disease. And then I was talking to my hygienist, and then I started adding a water flosser to my routine, and she was shocked at how much better my gums have gotten by simply adding another thing to my routine. The water flosser that I like to use is from My Smile. It's a portable water flosser. I'm putting a link to that in the description below if you want to check it out. Now, side note, I am an affiliate for this product, so I do get a small commission if you go through that link. But if you start doing these things as part of your daily routine, even the water flosser, if you want to do like 2 to 3 times a week on top of the brushing and flossing every single day, then I think it's going to make a huge difference. And you want to make sure you're still going to your dentist at least every 6 months. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked that video. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel below, and I will see you in the next video. If your kid's doing any of these things like snoring or sleeping with their mouth open or waking up cranky and exhausted even after a full night of sleep, I want you to pay attention because those aren't just little cute quirks. They can actually be signs that your child is not breathing well at night. And here's the part that nobody tells you. A lot of these